in the last part of the video, we have learnt about how the blood circulates in our body, especially in vertebrates, that too mammals. We have studied how the blood transportation takes place, or the circulation takes place in the human heart. We have studied structure of human heart, we have studied, and followed by circulation of blood inside the human body. So if you have any doubt regarding that, you can just ask now. So already you know that, so blood circulates. In human body, the blood circulates by the help of four-chambered heart. In the heart, you know, the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood flows separately. Deoxygenated blood flows from left part of the right part of the body, enters the lungs, and from the lungs it moves again to the heart. It is called as pulmonary circulation. Similarly, the oxygenated blood from left part of the heart will move to the different parts of the different tissues of the body by the help of largest artery called aorta. It is applied to the tissues. It gives oxygen to the tissues. Then it takes the carbon dioxide from the tissues, and again it flows back to the heart by the help of veins called as superior and inferior vena cava. This circulation is called as systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation, both put together, we call it as double circulation. Means in human heart, the blood flows twice in a single cycle. That is called as double circulation, pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation, pulmonary refers to the lungs. So the blood supplied to the lungs, there the purification happens. Carbon dioxide is given up and oxygen is taken. Already in the last video I have explained this. Systemic circulation means it provides the blood to the system. Oxygen is transported to the systems of the body, all the systems of the body. That is called systemic circulation. We just generally tell you. So if it say this all we have studied. So the contraction, because of contraction relaxation of cardiac muscles present in the heart, the heart actually works. So ventricle contracts. So when ventricle contracts, this thing, what is that? The atrium or auricle relaxes. The contraction of muscles is called as systole, and relaxation is called as diastole. One systole and one diastole makes one heartbeat. That sound. So one diastole, one systole is called one heartbeat. Diastole. Contraction of heart is called as systole, and the relaxation of heart is called as diastole. So this is known as double circulation. Till here we have studied. So what is blood pressure? See, blood pressure means what? So when the blood is flowing in the arteries or veins, I told you already, we have studied about the difference between the arteries and veins. So artery carry the oxygenated blood and veins usually carry the deoxygenated blood. We know that. So in the artery, the blood is pumped at high pressure. When the blood is moving in an artery, it applies some pressure. It applies some pressure on the valves of the blood vessels. Okay, this is a blood vessel. So blood is flowing like this. So blood is flowing. During it flows, it applies pressure. here it applies pressure on the walls of the artery. This is the wall of the artery. It applies some pressure. This pressure is called as blood pressure. We call it as BP. Normally we call it as BP. Blood pressure. So blood pressure. So everyone will have a certain normal blood pressure. If blood pressure increases or decreases, it becomes an adverse effect on the body. Understood? So usually blood pressure should be normal. So that is 120/80 Hg. Yeah, this is 120 and 80 refers to the systolic and diastolic blood pressure. It tells about that. So this is about the blood pressure. So when the blood applied pressure is more, that is called as hypertension. Hyper means more. So during that time, what happens? You will have stress on the body. Means your breathing rate will be affected. So your metabolic activity will become more. So all such activity will hamper you, or it will have an adverse effect on the body. Sometimes what happens here, due to that increase in blood pressure, the artery or walls of the artery may rupture and cause injury inside the walls of the artery. That will lead. Say, during that time, what happens? Clotting will happen. When there is an injury, you know that clotting will happen. Blood contains certain proteins. In the blood, there are certain protein enzymes which will help in the clotting process. You know that platelets is one of the cells present in the blood which will help in the clotting process. Similarly, we will have many of the enzymes like prothrombin is there. Thromboplastin converts into prothrombin. Prothrombin converts into fibrinogen. Fibrinogen converts into fibrin. Means the blood will have fibrinogen. This is general concept. Fibrinogen. This fibrinogen present in the blood. When blood oozes outside, when blood is oozing outside during the injury, this fibrinogen is converted into fibrin. Fibrin is nothing but clot. So the clot is formed over here. This clot. So sometimes this clot goes on increases. When this clot increases, what happens is the flow of the blood will be reduced. See, this much is the wall, the lumen of the wall. This much space is there here. Near this clot, only small place is available to the flow of the blood. That time it increases the blood pressure. So this is how actually the blood pressure, if it is more, it hampers our blood vessels, and it may lead to the heart attack also sometimes. Heart attack also, like the same clot happens. Same clot will happen inside the heart. You think that heart must also need oxygen, and it needs nutrition. That is given by coronary artery. See, coronary artery provides blood to the heart cells. Coronary artery provides blood and oxygen to the heart cells or cardiac cells. So if this blocks, in the coronary artery, this clot will happen is that may conclude into a heart attack, or in scientific language, medical language, is called as myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction it is called as. So this is usually this BP, every person will have a certain normal BP that 120 or 80. If it is more than this, it is called as hypertension. So sometimes some person will suffer from low BP also. Hypotension. Hypo means hypotension. Hypotension means BP will be low. In that case also we will have some problem. Hypertension all related to the BP, blood pressure. I hope you understood this. So you maybe heard about bypass surgery or open heart surgery like that. The surgery is done to remove this. Means a bypass surgery is done to solve this problem. Bypass means what? So if this is a clot, say I am drawing here. Here is a clot. Here is a clot. A bypass. They just cut this and they provide one more way to the flow of the blood. Like highway, in the highway, when you are going to the highway, you will bypass the city. You will not enter the city, you will bypass the city and you will not enter the city and you will bypass and go skip the city. So your traveling distance will be less and your timings will be very less. If you enter city, lot of traffic will be there. So they have a bypass. Similarly, a bypass surgery is done like this. And about stunts. They use some stunts. So stunts are also used during these cases when there is a clot in the blood vessels. That's called atherosclerosis. It is called as. This is not there for the syllabus. Just I am telling you the general knowledge. I am telling. Atherosclerosis is one of the diseases. During that time, stunts are used, which will increase the lumen, of the blood vessels, so the blood flows without any interruption. So this is about what is blood pressure and what is the consequence of blood pressure if it increases or decreases like. So it will adverse our physiological activity. So now we will see the difference between what is the advantages of having a four-chambered heart. Say birds and take mammals, they have four-chambered hearts. Take reptiles, amphibians, and fishes. So we'll have three-chambered, two or three-chambered heart. So we have a lot of advantage on four-chambered heart if you take. So why this difference actually? Why this difference? See, we know that these animals are cold-blooded animals. So we call it as thermic animals. See, this four chamber, the animals which contain four chamber heart, they are usually what? They are usually homeothermic animals. Homeothermic animals. Or we call it as warm-blooded animal. Warm-blooded animal. So you know the difference between that. So what is the difference between? So homeothermic animals means, or warm-blooded animals means the animals which do not change their body temperature according to the changes in the environment. So when we at environment, in environment, whatever the temperature may change, but some of the animals like birds and mammals, they do not change their body temperature; they remain constant. Their temperature, their body temperature remains constant. If in case of mammals like human, it is 37 degrees Celsius. So that remains constant. So that is called a homeothermic animal, or we call it as warm-blooded animals. So if you take poikilothermic animals, are cold-blooded animal. Cold-blooded animals are the animals which change their body temperature according to the changes in the environment. So it is related to the heart. This whatever I told now, already you know it. Last year we have learned it. So this both refers to the chambers of the heart. So in four-chambered heart, you know that the blood, oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood will flow separately. To the tissues and for the purification. So when it flows separately, what happens? The efficiency of the oxygen to the cells or the tissues increases. When efficiency of the oxygen increases, more amount of energy is produced. So to maintain the body temperature constantly, the animals need more temperature. That temperature is achieved by, that constant temperature is achieved by four-chambered heart. But in case of three or two-chambered heart, the animals are called as cold-blooded animals. They change their body temperature according to the changes in the environment. Because here the oxygenated, deoxygenated blood gets mixed, partially they mix, but there is no problem for the animal. But what is that? They cannot maintain the body temperature constantly. They consume less food, and whatever the heat produced is not enough to maintain the constant body temperature. That is not possible. That's why they change the body temperature according to the changes in the environment. That is about the advantage of the having four-chambered heart. The efficiency of the oxygen increases inside the tissues, so that the tissues produce more energy and maintain the body temperature. See, usually mammals, birds and mammals, they need lot of food to maintain the body temperature. But if we take reptiles, they also need food. But if you take reptiles are the best example. See, reptiles and amphibians, usually reptiles like snakes, they will have the prey or food in between two successive food or prey. They will have certain gaps. See, that is one of the difference between the birds and the reptiles. Okay. Similarly, see, if you take amphibians, usually these animals, reptiles and amphibians, they have three-chambered heart. Sometimes they take rest during the winter and summer resting period. They undergo resting period. That is estivation and hibernation. Estivation means summer sleep. During the summer, due to high temperature, they will hide themselves into some place where they are not affected by high temperature. Similarly, during the winter also, winter sleep is called hibernation. During that also, they actually hide themselves from that winter low temperature. So all this because to maintain the this escape from that temperature. Like this, we have lot of difference between the four-chambered and this three-chambered heart animals. So that's given in your textbook. Go through that. If you have any doubt, you can ask. It's given in the part called oxygen enters the blood in the lungs. In that part it is given. Go through that. If you have any doubt, you can ask now. So if anybody having doubt, please raise your hands. If you have any sort of doubt in the this part, whatever we have learned here. Now. So next part of the lesson we are the tubes and the blood vessels. So already we have discussed about the blood vessels, arteries and veins. You know the difference between artery and veins. So one more blood vessels is the capillaries. One more blood vessel is there. They are called as capillaries. So usually, say this is artery, and this is veins. Usually this and this is tissue. This tissue. So veins actually, artery converts to smaller blood vessels called as capillaries. Capillaries. Similarly, the veins. So veins also convert into smaller blood vessels called as vein capillaries. Vein capillaries. Usually capillaries are present. Very capillaries are present over here. Here. The artery ends with capillaries and vein starts from capillaries. Understand my point? So artery. So you think this aorta is giving the oxygen to the tissue. And it is taking, similarly it is taking the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is removed from these tissues by the help of veins. So this is superior and inferior vena cava. I hope you understood this. So they unite in the tissue. Whatever may be the type of tissue, they unite in the tissue, arteries and veins. How they unite? By the help of smaller blood vessels called as capillaries. I hope you understood this. So actually, artery ends with the capillaries, vein starts from capillaries. So here say, their blood is running, all the blood will not enter the capillaries. Only the RBCs will enter the capillaries during the exchange. They provide oxygen to the tissue. Similarly, they take up the carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is removed by the help of the heart. So this exchange actually takes place by the help of capillaries. These are called as capillaries. So smaller blood vessels which are present at the end of the artery and at the starting point, we can tell. So where the tissue, actually artery and veins meets in the tissue. The smaller blood vessels of arteries and veins are called as capillaries. These capillaries actually exchange the carbon dioxide and the oxygen here. It provides oxygen to the tissue and it takes up the oxygen from the vein capillaries and it is removed like this. Your nutrients also, waste also similarly it is done. Waste also is carried similarly. So you think that in this place of tissue, lungs is there. So here what happens? Carbon dioxide gives up and oxygen takes up. Like that it is. So usually capillaries are found in the tissues where the exchange of materials takes place. So that is the difference between the arteries, vein and capillaries. Already we have discussed the arteries and the veins, so that's why I told only the capillaries. See, next part, see we are going to the one more called limb. So lymph means what? I'll write it here. See, lymph is a colorless fluid. Colorless fluid which circulates in the body through lymphatic system. Through lymphatic system. Lymphatic system. So try to understand here. So this is the artery and this is capillaries and there is a tissue over here in between this. Try to understand the lymph. I'm going to tell you about the lymph. So this is the tissue. You know that artery usually carries oxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood is given. Means only the oxygen is given over here. During that time, what happens? What happens? Apart from RBC, some of the part of the blood which do not contain RBC will enter the tissues. This is the tissue and these are cells. So inside these cells there is a intracellular space is there. Intracellular space is there. In this intercellular space, some fluid part of the blood enters over here. Fluid part of the blood enters over here, which do not contain RBC. That fluid part is called as lymph, which is present in the intercellular space or interstitial space. It is called an interstitial space also. That fluid will flow. That lymph will flow in one more capillaries. One more capillary called as lymphatic capillaries. Lymphatic capillaries. And lymph vessel. And again they unite to the circulatory system. This lymphatic capillary they join again to the circulatory system. That is called as lymphatic lymph. That fluid which is transported in the lymphatic tissue or lymphatic vessels are called as lymph. It is a colorless fluid which do not contain RBC. So it is similar to the blood only, but do not contain RBC. So what is the role? Means that they produce antibodies and they help to kill the foreign material or microorganism that enters the body. Means they are the immune system of the body. Means they provide immunity to the body. That is the word. So go through that. It's given in your textbook. Go through that. Understand it. If you have any doubt, you can ask now. So even say from the digestive system, if you take in this place there is a digestive system. If you take from the digestive system, they absorb the nutrients also. That nutrients again it is also runs or circulated by the help of lymphatic capillaries and lymph. Then it is transported finally to the circulatory system. That is also done by the help of lymphatic system. So it is given in your textbook. Go through the textbook. So this part of the lesson we'll stop it here. I'll send one more link. Join with that link. Thank you.